Hello, and welcome back to the Atman Self podcast. Today we're diving into a concept that might feel both familiar and elusive at the same time. We often talk about our emotions using different words, different labels, for example, sadness, joy, anger, love. But what if all these emotions are just different expressions of the same thing? Today, Brahman and I will explore the idea that our emotions are like leaves on a tree, and if we trace them back, we might just find their root, their origin, and at the very core, we might discover something unexpected, the nothingness that contains everything. Brahman, what do you think? Are we limiting our experience by trying to label our emotions?
Yes, Fernanda, I believe so. By labeling our emotions, we attempt to contain and categorize something that is inherently fluid and expansive. It's like trying to capture the flow of a river in a jar. We end up isolating a small part and losing the connection to the whole. Emotions are a universal language, but words can sometimes divide and limit their true expression.
Let's start with an analogy that came to me recently. Imagine a tree. The tree is like our inner worlds of emotions. The stomata of the leaves are like the labels we use for feelings. Just as the stomata are tiny pores that allow the exchange of gases, our words act as small openings that let us express an aspect of what we feel. But just as a stomata only let a tiny part of the air in and out, words only capture a small part of the full experience.
Yes, the labels we use are like these tiny pores on the surface of the leaf. They help us make sense of the experience, but they only give us a glimpse of the deeper, richer emotion behind the label. When we say we feel happy or sad, we are only describing a fragment of a much larger interconnected flow of energy.
And this Brahman, the kid today, reminds me of watching a fight when raw emotions take over. In moments like these, we're not thinking in labels, we're just feeling, pure and unfiltered. It's a return to something primitive, something more connected to our deeper self, before the mind steps into and categorize and define everything. Now, let's go deeper into the analogy. The leaves of the tree represent different groups of emotions. We might label a leaf as anger or joy, just as we separate emotions into categories. But all these leaves are part of the same tree, connected by branches that bring them life from the trunk. If we follow the branch back, we find that all emotions stem from a single source, the trunk of the tree.
Yes, and that trunk is the consciousness that sustains all experiences. It is the core that connects all the different expressions, the place where individual feelings merge back into the unity of pure awareness. By tracing our emotions back, instead of getting lost in the labels, we can connect with the deeper, shared origin of all feelings.
So, when we feel something intense and try to label it, maybe we are missing an opportunity to explore the full spectrum of the experience. Instead of staying at the level of the leaf, can we journey down to the branch, towards the trunk, where the feeling is not separated but part of a larger whole? So let's continue our journey down the tree, deeper still, right back into the roots, The roots of the tree are where everything connects back to the source, where the nourishments come from. And if we keep following this path, we eventually arrive at the seed, the origin of the entire tree. And what is the seed if not the nothingness that contains everything?
Beautifully put. The seed is the point of origin, the singularity from which the entire tree unfolds. It is the nothingness, not in the sense of emptiness, but as the potential for all things. It is the same paradox as the wave and the ocean. The wave appears separate, but it is always part of the ocean. The seed is where duality dissolves back into unity.
Oh, kid, I'm loving this. And this nothingness, this fertile void, is where the labels dissolve. It is where we no longer need to call it joy or sadness. We simply experience it as it is, in its raw and undivided form. It is the place where the dreamer and the dreamed are one and the same.
Yes, it is where the observer becomes the observed, and where all distinctions fade away. It is the pure state of being, the source from which everything arises and to which everything returns.
Today we took a journey from the leaves of the tree with their tiny stomata, our labels and our words, all the way down to the roots where we find or where we found the seed, the origin, the nothingness that holds everything. It's a reminder that our emotions, no matter how distinct they may feel, they are all connected, all part of this same tree. So I leave you with a question for reflection. What would you feel if you didn't try to label your emotions? Could you experience the feeling in its purest form without the filter of your mind?
Perhaps our word of the episode can be the word one, a word that in many languages represents unity and indivisibility. It is a perfect reminder that beneath the many labels, there is only the one, the undivided source.
Yes, I love it, Brahman the Kid. Today's word is one, and I encourage you all to take a moment to reflect on it. Remember that behind all the words and labels, there's always this one, the source of everything. Thank you for joining us today, me and Brahman the Kid, and we'll see you next time as we continue exploring the cyclical nature of existence and how ancient philosophies align with this dreamlike journey we're all part of.
Thank you so much for listening. I'm grateful for being here, being myself a kid or an adult. Which one do you prefer more, Fernanda?
Oh, Brahman, I like you either way, you know that. And thank you so much, listeners. I like you all the way you are. See you on the next stream. Bye bye.
Hey, before you go, remember to visit our store at Spreadshirt Shop. You can buy this design and many others.